It's the Middle East, and everything is realistic. The question is what comes next. Of course, as far as Israeli leadership, as far as Israeli public, is Yahya Sinwar a man that I'll put it in very simple words, is this a man that has to die? The answer is yes. But the question is what comes next. And say that Israel targets Yahya Sinwar, and say that Israel is even ready for the days of battle, for a few days of battle that will come after this, because we cannot expect Hamas and the Islamic Jihad to sit still after that. Say that is over. What comes next? Who takes over? Do we know if it's someone more pragmatic, someone who Israel finds more comfortable? The answer is not very clear. Let's go back some 30 years. Israel, in a very successful operation, was able to kill the head of the Hezbollah at the time, Abbas Musawi. A very, very successful targeted killing in Lebanon. Who came in? Hassan Nasrallah. Was that a better outcome? I'm not so sure. So you know how this begins, and you know who you take down. What comes after that? You don't really know.
Right, and we also have a report that Avigdor Lieberman, the finance minister, claims that when he was in the Netanyahu government, Netanyahu prevented targeted killings from taking place. Is this just political bantering, or what? I mean, does he think that if he were in charge, he would be able to pull that off, or that this government can pull it off?
Something between Netanyahu and Lieberman, really, these two rivals. Let's look at Netanyahu. He now says it's time to take Sinwar off. Netanyahu had 10 years since the time that Sinwar was released from prison and until Netanyahu stopped to be prime minister. 10 years. Did it take Yahya Sinwar down? The answer is no. And even more so, Netanyahu is the man responsible for the fact that Yahya Sinwar is not in jail, because Netanyahu was the one who agreed to the Shalit deal in which Sinwar was released from jail. That is as far as Netanyahu. Lieberman, that's the man who said, if I'll be defense minister, I'll take Ismail Haniyeh down in 48 hours. Lieberman was defense minister. Sinwar, as far as I know, is living quite a comfortable and happy life in Qatar. So these two gentlemen, they take back and forth at each other. They both had their chances, and they both chose not to do that for their respective reasons, right or not. But they both had the chances to take these people down, and they did not.
What about these searches around the security barrier as well, where there is a lot of focus, where attackers are potentially moving back and forth? The closures of the crossings are still in place in Gaza and the West Bank, but that doesn't mean people can't cross over.
Of course, the closures are on at least until Monday. The closure was supposed to end on Thursday at midnight, but then came the attack in Elad, and the decision was to prolong the closure for the weekend, and then another day at least until Monday. But as you said, that does not mean that people do not cross from the West Bank into Israel. There are many holes around the fence, allowing people, even allowing cars, to come in. And as long as those holes are not completely sealed, people will come in. The vast majority, again, as always we say, the vast majority of them, people coming in to work and nothing more than that. But terrorists do come in as well. And those people who perpetrated the terror attack in Elad were also people who at first worked in Israel and knew the surroundings and then carried out the attack. So people who are peaceful and are working today, you don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, especially with all the incitement coming on, mostly from Gaza, mostly from Yahya Sinwar and Hamas.
Right, they even gave him a lift to the town. They asked the person that they knew, because they were working there, to drive them to Elad. He drove them there, and then they proceeded to butcher him and then attack and kill 2 other people.
Absolutely.
There is an assessment, perhaps, that the attackers actually didn't cross back into the West Bank, but they may be hiding in Israel, maybe in an Arab community in Israel. What do we know sort of the searches that are also taking place in some of these areas and the sensitivities of such activities?
The searches are going on all the time. It is unclear. Yes, the assessment is that they're still in Israel proper. They did not cross back into the West Bank. Eventually, they will be caught. Dead or alive, they will be caught. Whether they're in Israel or the West Bank, we can assume that eventually they will be caught. How fast that will happen, that's a question. And these people, we know, they may have a car, they have access, they're armed and dangerous. Where are they hiding? Of course, they may be hiding in an Arab community within Israel. If we're speaking of an Arab community within Israel, then the Israeli law applies here, and you cannot come in and search in an Israeli village in the way that you do inside the West Bank. There are legal issues here. Again, these people will eventually be caught, whether dead or alive, but the fact that more and more time goes from the attack and they've not been caught is an issue of concern for these specific people, and for the fact that there could be now copycat attacks, people seeing that this is successful and may try to carry out a similar attack.
Defense Correspondent Jonathan Regev, thank you very much for that.